Welcome to Žanis Lipke Memorial. My name is Dr. Raivis Sīmansons and we will be presenting together with creative technologist Corey McLeod. I will first give some background information to this memorial site before Corey will go into details of execution and digital strategy of the Žanis VR documentary. Tucked away on a small cobblestone backstreet on its own island, Žanis Lipke Memorial goes by as the best hidden museum in Riga. And on purpose. This place served as a hideout for those persecuted under the Nazi regime in occupied Latvia. During the Holocaust, Riga dockworker Žanis Lipke helped over 50 people escape from the Riga Ghetto and concentration camps, hiding them right here in a bunker next to his house and a network of hideouts downtown and in the countryside. The Žanis Lipke Memorial is built on a location where Žanis and his family lived and hid people. It is designed as a deeply immersive experience. Visitors' senses are naturally stimulated here through the interplay of light and darkness, texture of wooden surfaces, and the scent of tar which is applied to the exterior of the building. Taking this background and location into account, we face the challenge: how can a small memorial in a remote location grow its audience? Virtual and augmented reality have always felt like a natural fit for us. These technologies allow us to extend the immersive experience of the memorial beyond its physical footprint. It aligns with architects' and scenographers' original intent to create what we would now call a mixed reality setting. Further to digitally augmenting the authentic physical space, this mobile immersive experience is using VR, projections, and 360 surround sound to bring the story of the Žanis Lipke and the people he rescued to museums, schools, and events throughout the world. I will now hand it over to Corey to talk us through the details of execution and strategy of the project.
Thank you, Raivis. I'm Corey McLeod, creative technologist at Rise and Shine and Partners in Minneapolis. Before I dive into the digital strategy and execution of the project, I'd like to give you a high-level overview with a brief case study video.
During the Holocaust, Žanis Lipke was an unlikely hero. He was a dockworker and bootlegger from Riga, Latvia, helping over 50 people escape the Riga Ghetto and concentration camps, hiding them until the end of the Holocaust. The Žanis Lipke Memorial is located where he provided shelter to the many Jews he rescued. The museum was heralded as a moving and awe-inspiring experience. And it had a problem. It was too well hidden. Tucked away from the city center, on its own island, it wasn't easy to find. The answer wasn't simply bringing more visitors to the museum, it was bringing the museum to the rest of the world. We created a mobile immersive experience using VR, projections, and 360 surround sound. We told the story of 6-year-old Hanna Stern, who was imprisoned in the Kaiserwald concentration camp. Žanis staged a complex escape and rescue operation and hid her until the end of the Holocaust. The experience was created using hand-drawn illustrations based on art from the Riga Ghetto. Environments were created using 3D scans, archival photography, and music created by prisoners of the Riga Ghetto. The story was narrated by Hanna's daughter, Ilana. We are bringing this experience to film festivals, conferences, schools, and museums in Europe, North America, and anywhere in the world.
Bet reāli man uzreiz izsita uz emocijām. No daļas izjūta, kā cilvēks tajos laikos, tieši tajā situācijā, kādas viņam bija sajūtas.
Un tad apkārt visur ir tie vācu zaldāti, un viņi ir tādi ļoti izteikti garumi, ka tu tur esi un tu saproti to, ka Hanna ir 8 gadus veca meita, un tie zaldāti ir tā kā giganti viņai.
The story of Žanis is a story of finding bravery and compassion in a time of unimaginable fear and loss, and remains hidden no more.
As Raivis mentioned earlier, VR felt like a natural fit for this project, but we also wanted to ensure that it spoke to Gen Zers and high school students. Gen Zers are open to embracing new media and technologies, but they're also quick to reject inauthentic uses of new media. A recent example of this is Gen Zers' backlash to AI-generated content. They typically call it AI slop. So what we did is we conducted a series of informal interviews with high school students about their gaming preferences. So unlike previous generations, Gen Zers have a nuanced relationship with gaming. They're more like connoisseurs. We discovered that while Gen Zers enjoyed the high-end fidelity of AAA games, Fortnite, Call of Duty, they deeply appreciated the more artistic, immersive experiences of indie games. Indie games felt like a really interesting territory for exploration, not as something we wanted to imitate, but more like a conceptual anchor. And there are three characteristics of indie game aesthetics that we really wanted to hone in on. The first is immersive nonlinear exploration. On my right, you can see a gameplay video of a game called No Man's Sky. The game consists of over 80,000 procedurally generated worlds. There aren't any fixed goals. It's all about nonlinear exploration. The second is a distinct artistic style. This is a gameplay video of a wildly popular game called Cuphead. The entire experience is hand-drawn. And it's precisely the hand-drawn, handcrafted nature which Gen Zers appreciated. And the third is authenticity. This is a gameplay video of the mother of all indie games. The original appeal of Minecraft was that it didn't even try to be high-end, but rather seemed to be an expression of the game developer's inner world. What I'd like to do now is walk you through a few headset captures of the Žanis VR experience and show how we brought these three elements to life in our experience. What you're seeing now is a headset capture of the onboarding experience. The viewer finds themselves in a forest with fallen leaves. The leaves represent the countless people alive today because of Žanis. When the viewer reaches out and catches one of the leaves, they can hear the name of the person that leaf represents. Each of the doors you see represents the story of a person rescued by Žanis. Currently, we only have one story, but we're working on adding more. When the viewer unlocks that door, they are dropped into the world of that story. Another way we really strove to amplify the sense of immersion and nonlinearity was to create continuity of motion. So the story feels like a one-take movie. For example, that famous scene from Goodfellas. What you're seeing now is the sequence where Hanna, her mother Sophie, and her brother are on their way to the Sammelplatz. We're using a follow cam point of view, and we use this point of view throughout the experience to traverse time and space. Jumping ahead now to where Žana brings Hanna and her mother Sophie to the bunker in the countryside. The viewer descends through the ground into the bunker, and as the viewer explores the space, a chain falls. When the viewer pulls the chain, this triggers the collapsing of the front wall, which leads to the tunnel at Yad Vashem, where decades later, Hanna met Žanis again. And another really powerful tool in creating immersiveness is the virtual three-dimensional space. In the case study video, you heard from the student how German soldiers were like giants and how a small child must have experienced seeing these giant German soldiers. This is where Hanna and Sophie are hiding during the liquidation of Riga Ghetto. You can hear Sophie singing, but unless the viewer physically leans forward, they can't see them. So, often viewers have to lean forward and look behind that wall to see where Hanna and Sophie are hiding. Regarding the aesthetic point of view of the project, the thing viewers respond most to are the hand-drawn animations. In the beginning, I'll just be perfectly honest. In the beginning, I really debated whether to depict characters via 3D models or hand drawings. And just to be clear, 3D models would have been way easier in terms of the production process, in terms of coding, in terms of optimization. But what made me land on using hand drawings is less about strategy and more about the process of drawing. For me, drawing's just like such an intimate process, and developing an intimate relationship with the subjects I'm drawing that, I just couldn't imagine another way. The sequence you're seeing now is they're on the run. Hanna collapses from exhaustion, and Žanis puts her on his shoulders, and they walk away. This is a bit earlier in the experience, and you see these like partial fragments of German soldiers yelling at the new arrivals. Authenticity can mean a lot of different things in a lot of different contexts. For me, and in the context of indie games, I think it means setting up a system of values and intentions and staying true to those values and intentions. So for me, the system I set up right from the onset was that I wasn't going to use any prefabricated or stock assets. Everything would be derived from either archival materials or things I found in Latvia. So I'm going to show you a few examples of how I executed on this system. First is photogrammetry. Photogrammetry is a lightweight 3D scanning technique which takes a series of photos, compiles those photos to create a 3D texture and a 3D model. So over here you can see 500 photos that we took of the Stidotava train station. The Stidotava train station is the station where arrivals from Germany, Austria, and Czechoslovakia first arrived in Riga and were then marched to the Riga Ghetto, and it figures very starkly in the oral histories of survivors. So we took 500 photos using a drone and then compiled those, and the result is this. Camera matching is a technique which maps the lens, position, and focal length of a photo to a camera in a 3D editing tool. I use camera matching to take this photo of the barracks of the Kaiserwald concentration camp and then use that photo to model. But the technique I overwhelmingly used was PBR painting, which is kind of like painting in Photoshop, but instead of just painting the albedo layer, you're also painting height textures and reflections. So what I did is I just walked around the area of the Riga Ghetto, which is a suburb of Riga called the Maskavas Vorstadt, and just took pictures of every building there. And then I took those textures and was basically able to map those onto low poly lightweight models. Here you can see the journey through the Riga Ghetto. Because the topology of the 3D models have a low poly count. This isn't overburdening the processor and thus allows the experience to run smoothly. The richness and detail of the textures, however, allow the unique character of the Moskvas Vorstadt to come to the forefront. In conclusion, I'd like to take a moment to talk about the physical space we've created for our virtual experience. Here you can see early drawings I made for the space we set up at the Lipke Museum. And here in Minneapolis, I have a similar installation set up that I can travel with and bring to museums and events and galleries. In the beginning of the project, Raivis and I debated a lot about whether to launch this on a VR content streaming service. But the downside of that would have been we would have had to downgrade the experience to ensure compatibility on a wide range of headsets and a wide range of devices. And as a result, we would have ended up flattening the visual style and the soundscape and lessened the richness of the experience. This is why the physical space is just as important as the virtual experience, that we are in control of the space, that we are in control of the hardware that this experience is being played on, and we can ensure the highest quality. This was crucial for us, and why we think that the physical space is just as important as the virtual experience. Yes, it's hard. Setting up this experience every time anew is really exhausting. Yes, we have to do a lot of troubleshooting and optimization, but we think it's worth it. And we hope we've created a rich enough experience to motivate people to come to it, to want to experience it firsthand. Thank you for your attention, and now I'll hand it back to Raivis to wrap it up.
Unlike larger memorials located at killing sites and concentration camps, which attract large numbers of tourists and school groups, the Žanis Lipke Memorial works rather as an intimate and very private memorial space. Getting more visitors alone would not solve the problem of being too well hidden. It is actually our secret weapon. Neither infrastructure nor workforce at the minute would cope with significant increase in footfall anyway. Quality of the visit has always been a priority. Thus, to keep telling our rescue stories and to make individual visitors stay longer, augmenting physical space with digital immersive content offers a solution. Besides, VR as a mobile immersive experience is capable of bringing the story of Žanis Lipke and the people he rescued beyond our walls. Finally, a few words about cooperation model. Žanis Lipke Memorial was built thanks to private donations. It took 10 years to get completed. What we have learned is that the time resource of creative people in the long run is just as valuable an asset as money. The VR documentary Žanis took 5 years to complete. No monetary value can be adequately calculated for such a project. It is an artist in residency model that called this place into being. The same model has been continued in this long-lasting cooperation with creative technologist Corey McLeod. Provided you have some time on your hands, there are clear advantages in such, if you like, laid-back approach. While the museum gains a new permanent digital exhibition, the artist keeps honing his skills, which deem necessary for his day-to-day work. In our experience, charity projects like this prove mutually beneficial and defy common perceptions of value for money. Thank you for your attention.